Please, would you rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Councillor Olson. Here. Bridge. Here. Bender. Here. Stenberg. Here. McDonald. Joyle. Here. Finsland is excused. Herrick. Here. McKenzie. Here. Brown. Here. Nowicki. Here. And Sather. Here.
Recognizing a quorum, will proceed.
Item 4 is approval of the October 4th regular council meeting minutes.
Heard the motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 5.1 is a public hearing on the 2012 General Fund operating budget.
At this time, I'll call for a public hearing and ask those that wish to speak in favor of to do so now. For the second time, those that wish to speak in favor of to do so now. And finally, those that wish to speak in favor of may do so now. Hearing none, those that wish to speak in opposition may do so now. Those that wish to speak in opposition may do so now. And for the third time, those that wish to speak in opposition may do so now. Hearing and seeing none, we'll call the public hearing to a close.
Need a motion?
And ask for the consideration of the council. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
5.2 is a public hearing for the 2011 Justice Assistant Grant in the amount of $7,210 awarded to the Superior Police Department to be used to purchase laptop computers for installation on the department's two motorcycles. This grant requires opportunity for public comment, but no action is needed by the council.
Is there any discussion or public comment available? Hearing none.
Item 6 is a consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the consent agenda. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 7.1, Finance Director Vito is submitting the 2012 Economic Development Fund budget.
Heard the motion and second to approve. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Item number 9.1, Councilors Olson and Stenberg are requesting reconsideration of the vote taken at the October 4th regular council meeting. Item number 7.5, Mary Morgan Parks and Recreation Administrators recommending to award the contract for the Asagi Trail improvements to Badger Excavating in the amount of $31,157.
President Olson.
Should we have these separated?
Yeah, I think you need a motion to reconsider first and then a motion on the item.
Make a motion to request reconsideration of the vote. I'll second.
Heard the motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
I want a discussion on that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, sir.
Since the last meeting, the reason I had requested that we reconsider this vote was that at that meeting we had 3 bids, and we had questioned. I had questioned the policy with an ordinance that had been on the books for quite a few years, and some changes have come since the change in leadership at the state level, and part of it is the prevailing wage language that has been inserted. And without getting into the complications of it, there are certain things that you can and cannot do with ordinances before a period of time or enforce them after a period of time. So we I called a meeting with some department heads and the mayor and the attorney, and we had a lengthy discussion on it, and I want to recognize Nancy Brown. She did a good job at the last council meeting, and I don't know if you could have done a better job, but a better job explaining what this change in the prevailing wage is. I think we're all aware of what the thresholds were, whether it was a single craft or a multi-craft, myself especially for what I do. But with that being said, at the last meeting, we voted 10-0 on information that we had, and with the changes of the information that is mandated by the state, I was compelled to call that meeting and make sure that we had our facts straight. There was no question that anybody on the city had done anything wrong. It was a policy that I was questioning, and a policy only. And I want it clear in front of everybody here, because I was questioned by one of the other counselors as to what my union preference was in this. And this had nothing to do with any union organization. This bid was put out to 4 bidders, 3 responded. And with all the information that we had, that is the reason I'm asking for this to be reconsidered, the vote that we took last week, or excuse me, 2 weeks ago.
Thank you. Councilor McKenzie.
I just one quick comment. I think it was a good thing to look at this a little bit closer. Dan, thanks for doing this and for clarifying it, because I think when there's questions, it's a good thing to err on the safe side. So I think this was good, but I'm glad we're bringing this back and voting on this tonight. So.
Is there a motion? Councilor McDonald.
That's okay. I would also like to thank Dan, and I also had the same issues he did, and I was very thankful of the way it all got taken care of, because Nancy and Mary and everybody does do a wonderful job. But sometimes we have to question things that we don't feel right about. But thank you, and I just wanted to make that remark.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion. For the motion and second to approve, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Under Councilor by Business, Councilor McKenzie, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to take this opportunity just in case somebody was interested. On Thursday, Jason Sirk and myself will be going to the Douglas County Board meeting. Going to have them, well, we're going to present to them our need for county property, and so hopefully they're going to be in favor of donating some property, and so we're going to plead our case for this property. It's been a long time. Worked on this project a long time, and this property is so important, and I'm going to be, hopefully, I'm going to be considered to be on the Animal Allies Board at some point. Also going to be working on the capital campaign to raise funds, and so I'm hoping that a lot of people out there are going to be aware of what's going on, what we're going to have. We're going to have something that's so we can be proud of and for these animals, and so if anybody can, at some point when these campaigns are starting, to reach into your pockets and maybe donate some money. I'd kind of like to throw out a challenge to everybody out there in the city, but I'd kind of like to throw out a challenge to the student counselors, because I remember way back in the day when Warren was in junior high school. They used to have every Halloween. They used to have a fundraiser called Money for UNICEF. And kids would go out and they'd trick or treat and get candy, but they'd also ask that they would donate. And so maybe something like that could happen with you student counselors. Maybe you could go back to the school and see how much money the senior high students could raise for this project. And if you and also if you see see where you might be able to part with some of your money that you're getting now. You guys are making just a little bit less than I'm making, and so if you guys want to donate something, I'll match those funds. Anything that you match the total. So anything we can do to get this thing going. So anyways, I don't mean all of your money. You don't have to do it every month, but maybe $10 once in a while. The rest you can use for gas and going to have ice cream. Anyways, thanks a lot.
Thanks for jogging Councilor Bender's memory, too.
Yes, and I would like to speak to that and say that Councilor McKenzie and I were in junior high school together.
Yeah, but you
And I don't think either of us ever trick-or-treated for UNICEF. And the other thing is, I know I've been speaking to both to John and Zach all of last year and this year, too, about joining Interact, which is a Rotary club at the high school. And it's a service organization, and I think this would probably fit right in as far as maybe a fundraiser that they could get behind, because it is community-wide, and so it would be good for that, and also that there are many, many different fundraising things. In fact, as soon as Councilor McKenzie said that, I thought of the Mile of Pennies, where you put two-sided tape down until it reaches a mile, and then you bring pennies, and you'd be surprised how much money you get. But I won't have anything else to say, except we were in junior high together.
Yeah, just remember you're 11 days older than me, and then you can match what these guys kick in too for their pay.
President Olson?
If we could step back to 9.1, we had separated that, so we made a motion and a second. Was that to reconsider the vote?
Yeah, there was a motion and a second to reconsider the vote, and that was approved. And then there was a motion and a second to award the contract.
I didn't hear the motion and second to award the contract.
It was Jackie and Denise.
Okay. So we are awarding the contract to Badger.
Yep.
Rick, thanks for your patience.
Okay, item 10.1 is a resolution introduced by the city's Knox Box Committee to urge property owners to voluntarily install key boxes.
First of all, I want to thank the committee members. We took a long 2 months to do this. We had great input from the Chamber of Commerce, the Bid District, the Fire Department, the Landlords Association. We had an insurance agent on that committee. We had a person that was involved with people with disabilities, a couple counselors, and the mayor weighing in on that. This has been something that's been going on for quite a while, and with all the information that we gathered, we did have some people that were in favor of an ordinance, and we also had people that were in favor of resolution, and we had letters of reasons why, and I think with the efforts that everybody put forth, we've come up with a good resolution that I did recommend myself, and I believed it was in the best interest of the citizens of Superior to have a voice in what we're doing to the point of the cost of doing business in the city of Superior. I don't think that should be mandated in this city to have a cost of doing business if not needed. There are, I'm going to read the resolution because there are parts of it that people need to know. I think the people on the committee and the counselors that have received this resolution are well aware of them, but just bear with me, please. Frog, thank you for your help on this as well. So the resolution introduced by the Knox Box Committee is to urge property owners to voluntarily install key boxes. Whereas the mission of Superior Fire Department is to provide for the protection of life and property, and whereas the Superior Fire Department responds to thousands of calls each year that vary in scope and magnitude, but ultimately affect life and property, including calls for fire suppression, hazardous materials, medical assistance, and rescue. And whereas many of the calls for the Superior Fire Department services require access by firefighting and first responder personnel to unresponsive patients within secured buildings, and whereas by resorting to forced entry to access the secured buildings, firefighters are exposed to potential injury, inevitably cause damage to the building itself, the cost of which must be borne by the property owner, and whereas the installation of a key box to accommodate emergency access to the interior of a property offers a quick, non-forceful, and property-friendly means of ingress that can better serve both the patient and emergency responder, and whereas key box access is particularly beneficial to the firefighting and business community when provided at buildings containing an automatic fire suppression system, a fire alarm system, or an elevator. Key box access is also beneficial when provided at buildings which exceed 2 stories and at facilities that require the filing of a Tier 2 report under Wisconsin Statute 323-60 or its successor code, and therefore be it resolved that the city's 2011 Knox Box Committee and the Common Council wishes to urge property owners throughout the city of Superior to give serious consideration to the installation of fire department approved key box in strict conformity with the installation requirements as determined by the chief, so as to enhance fire department efficiencies in matters concerning the health and safety of our citizens. So I think the most important paragraph is the bottom one, that we recommend that you still put these on your buildings. It's an insurance policy for you, and not being required by a city ordinance, there are rules and regulations that we still need to follow under certain circumstances that are spelled out in this ordinance and the codes themselves in longer form. So again, I want to thank everybody for their time and effort put into this, and I would appreciate the passage of this resolution.
Yeah, I think that's a well-written resolution. Thanks, Frog. Thanks for reading that, Dan. And I, too, want to thank the task force and everybody that was involved with that. They put a lot of hard work and time into it. Fire department, too, I want to thank you. I mean, you guys have done a lot of research and a lot of input into that. Was at the open house that you had on Saturday. I think some other counselors were there and did a nice job showing what services that you provide and all the things that you do. So that's great. So thanks again for all those efforts. I want to thank all the renters, landlords, business owners for all the opinion and all the feedback that we got. I think it was crucial because I think, in my opinion, that's democracy at work. Instead of 10 of us sitting up here and saying this is what you do or else, we have all the citizens and all the people's input saying this is what we want and this is what's fair. I think the voluntary program I think is going to be a great one. I think it's the way to go because as any product that someone might have, if it truly is such a great product, if it's the best thing since sliced bread, then it's going to sell itself. I think Lisa Douglas, I think, said it from Green Acres. She said they'd sell like hotcakes. But anyways, thanks to everybody that had the input into this, and I too will vote for this resolution. Thanks.
Any further discussion?
We do have 2 people signed up.
We have 2 people in the chambers that wish to speak to this subject.
Marty Curtis.
Just remind our speakers, we have a 3-minute ceiling. I'll hit the light when we're there.
Well, I was planning on saying nice things, so I thought maybe I could get an extra 20 seconds. I'm kidding with you. Marty Curtis, 5301 East First. I, too, would like to thank all the committee members and stuff, and, everybody put a lot of work into this, and I don't know if anybody has thanked the counselors. I know Councilor Bender and Councilor McKenzie, way back with the Public Safety Committee, put a lot of effort into this too, and I know a lot of the other councilors did. And Councilor Herrick was on the committee along with Councilor Olson, and I ran a couple of campaigns on Let's Talk, I'll Listen, and I'm proud to have some of the council that actually listened to people and took what they said into account, and I think it's great that we listen to the citizens, and I think it'll be something that's real good for the community. I'd also like to take a second to thank the mayor, and I think this is the first time I've done that publicly. So, and I'm real happy that with the new mayor, I think he's really doing a good job, and even though I voted for Kevin, I appreciate his efforts. It's really good to see, and I think this will work out well for the community. Thanks.
Thank you.
Dee Fetters.
Hello, my name is Dee Fetters, and I would just like to take a few minutes to thank everyone who helped in making this Knox Box thing come to a good conclusion. I do know that for all of us, safety is a vital concern for all of us. And being voluntary, I think people feel now that the council members that they voted in are actually listening to the people and what they have to say. I would like to give a special thank you to our mayor. Bruce Hagan saw this thing through, open-minded, he listened intently, and I think we are very fortunate as a city to have him at the helm. And I'm going to do everything I can to see that he never retires. I do want to thank Frog Prell, our city attorney. He was politely asked if he would help draft some type of a resolution from where we would have a reference jump-off point, and he graciously agreed to do that. Dan, our council president, very strong, frequent voice of the people. I appreciate that very much, as I know do all the people involved in this. Our city council, who did listen to the people that put you in your position where you are, without thinking about what you personally may have wanted. You listened to your constituents. Our business community has spoken, and I just am very proud of our city. I'm very proud of the way it works. It warms my heart that people who are voted into office by the people truly represent them, and regardless of their own personal feelings, this is the way government should go. It's the way it should be run. A warm thank you to all that worked, and special kudos to our city council. Thank you.
Thank you. Heard the motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 10.2 is a resolution providing for the issuance and sale of the general obligation promissory note, Series 2011D, in the amount of $2,655,000.
Heard the motion and second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I want to thank Director Vito for very intent and developing this and many other things that she's carrying out for the city. It's a tremendous responsibility that she has, and I want to thank you very much.
Item 10.3 is the resolution introduced by the Community Development Division setting a public hearing December 6th for the 2012 Community Development Block Grant Action Plan.
Heard the motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 11.1 is an ordinance introduced by the city attorney recommended by the Public Safety Committee repealing and recreating City Code Section 86-74, possession of weapons, discharge of firearms, to implement 2011 Wisconsin Act 35.
You've heard the motion and second. Discussion. Councilor Herrick.
Yeah, I just have a couple questions for Attorney Frog. Under the ordinance, Section 1, C, 1 and 2, I have a couple questions on there. I'll just read C. Except as the common council shall allow by revocable permit fixing the time and specific place of discharge, no person shall shoot, fire, or discharge any cannon, gun, fowling piece, pistol, firearms, spring or air gun, or bow or crossbow of any description within the city. Now, going to the spring or air gun, are you referring to also to pellet guns and BB guns? The reason why I bring that up is because I know a lot of people on our property use it to get rid of vermin, so I was just wondering if that's, included in there on that particular question for one.
Yeah, I think a pellet gun would meet that, would fall within that prohibition, for sure.
Okay, I'm just wondering why that was included. Oh, is that not new? No. That's not new, Chief?
That's not new. No, that ordinance, the portion of the ordinance that you just read, Councilor Herrick, has been around for longer than I have, and that's not a provision that's been tweaked.
Okay. Okay.
So those who are shooting pellet guns at squirrels are probably not drawing a lot of law enforcement attention for I'm guessing they're not being noticed, and they're not presenting a health or safety issue. I'm not suggesting that it's lawful.
Sure.
I just read that it isn't.
Sure.
But I guess I don't know how to answer why that may or may not be a phenomenon you've observed, but suffice it to say that portion of the ordinance has not been modified at all.
Okay. Wasn't aware of that, so I'm glad I was brought up. Chief, on the lighter side, can we get a permit if we have to take care of vermin, or?
We don't have any process issues.
Okay, all right. Then question 2, it goes on to say fire, explode, or set off any squib. First of all, what's a squib?
Not having drafted that, I don't know.
Okay. And then also, continuing on with that, cracker or other thing containing powder or other combustible or explosive material or set off or exhibit any fireworks within the city. I guess my first question, isn't that under another ordinance within the city? And then also to go along with that, any combustible, that would also include, sparklers and things like that. And I know, if I remember right, under the other ordinance, it does say anything that doesn't basically, go up in the open air is allowable. But according to that, it states that you can't even use sparklers or anything like that because they are combustible.
Well, once again, I've prepped all the wrong things.
Okay.
We're talking about a provision in the code that I've not modified.
Okay.
So I think you are right in that we have a general ban against the use of fireworks in another provision in the code. I couldn't reference the chapter and the subsection by memory right now.
Sure.
But I believe we do have a more detailed ban against fireworks, and this council well knows about that ban generally because you've dealt recently with an introduction or the potential introduction of a fireworks business to the city.
Yeah, and that's what prompted that, because I know under that discussion we did talk about sparklers and anything that doesn't go up in the air to be okay.
How to address intelligently combustibility with a sparkler. You got my number twice. When I think of sparklers, I don't think of something that is where there's combustion taking place, but I could be wrong. I think what this is designed to prohibit is things that go boom and explode and use powder and other mechanisms that are typically used to do that.
Okay. So, could that go back to, does that have to be under, that particular item have to be under this ordinance, or can it go back to the original ordinance as far as the fireworks part of it?
We can put ordinances wherever we want to. I think where it is right now, the sub-provisions you've read are fine as is.
Okay.
If those are causing some consternation, we can move those around or have more dialogue on those. Again, those are 2 provisions that I've not modified in all the time that I've been employed by the city. So unfortunately, I can't speak intelligently to the mindset of the council or staff when we included words like squib, those sorts of things. So,
okay.
Please understand that the heart and soul of this ordinance hasn't changed from however many years ago to today's date, except, and it's a big exception, for matters referencing concealed carry.
Okay, so basically, these items were under this ordinance before, with the, of course, with the except, because I guess I don't have the old reference to reference, you know, with this new one versus the one we had in place.
Yeah, if you dug out your ordinance book tonight, you would see those 3 sub-provisions,
Okay.
word for word, in the old book. in the old
Okay.
ordinance.
Does this cover a paintball?
I would think that a paint pellet is propelled by air, compression, spring or air. So I'm guessing a paintball gun would be considered by law enforcement to qualify as either a spring or an air gun and would be generally prohibited.
Okay, I guess the question, I mean, can this be approved, or, I mean, I'd like to look at just those 2 items, because everything else is, I feel is, you know, pertinent to what, you know, what the ordinance is to cover. You know, I guess, I don't know, I guess I just need more of a definition on those 2 areas, just so that there's no confusion, especially since we have the other ordinance regarding fireworks and so on and so forth. I guess I don't want to make it confusing to anybody.
May I suggest then, if you want more dialogue on those 2 sub-provisions, specifically what it means to discharge a cannon gun, fowling piece, you seem to be particularly interested in the air gun and spring gun components, and then also the firecrackers and the general fireworks scenario described in sub 2. Why don't you adopt the ordinance as is and simply refer those matters for further discussion to whatever committee you deem appropriate? I'd hate to cross them out, obliterate them entirely, and have no enforcement option with regard to those uses, because those are those cover a wide range of what most people would consider to be potentially dangerous weapons.
Sure.
That I'd hate to obliterate from the ordinance books right now, pending a better wording, when maybe an alternative is to proceed with the contemplation of the ordinance as is,
Okay.
and address these issues in public safety or public works, wherever you deem appropriate.
Okay, sure. I mean, that's kind of the explanation I was kind of looking for, too, because like I said, the rest of it, you know, is pertinent to what we're trying to cover here with the new laws coming in. And then I just, if I may ask one more question, not related to any of this we're talking about indirectly as far as the ordinance itself. I guess a kind of a question that came up, if a weapon is seen by a citizen, can they ask that person if they have a permit to carry that weapon?
Well, I think people generally have a First Amendment right to approach people and ask them about things like...
No, I meant if somebody's seen, like, out in public carrying a weapon, can you ask them if they have permit to carry that weapon?
I think you can approach someone and ask them.
Okay.
Do you mind my asking you, sir, if you're permitted to carry that weapon? They can give you the social wave and keep walking, or they can fish it out of their wallet. I mean, who can predict how that would go?
Oh, sure,
I
sure.
certainly wouldn't suggest that people engage in dialogue that could end up getting hot and out of control
Right.
and end up resulting in a physical altercation. But generally, I would submit that people have a right to approach people and engage in a dialogue, free speech.
Sure. Okay. Just a generic question related to this topic, so thank you.
And I want to just simply suggest, Councilor Herrick, for your reference, that we do address in detail fireworks and 4th of July novelties in Chapter 74.
Councilor McKenzie.
Thank you. Just on a light note, Mike, if you want to shoot a BB gun in your backyard, and if you want to shoot rats, and I don't mean your neighbors, I won't turn you in, and I won't call Pete either.
All right, thanks.
So you can do it.
Any further discussion?
I feel compelled to, on the off chance that we've missed what this ordinance does tonight, And I think the Public Safety Committee thoroughly digested it, and we had a meaningful dialogue at that level a couple of months ago, but I think we haven't had a public safety meeting in a month or more. This ordinance that's before you tonight, if approved, authorizes the city to placard buildings that we own and control as banning weapons, not just handguns, but weapons as that term is defined in statute, to include knives and billy clubs, electric guns. The Public Safety Committee, as those of you who serve on that committee will recall, that there were a good number of buildings that they could think of that they would authorize and feel comfortable placarding instantaneous to the effective date of the law, which is November 1. I think the library and the 3 fire halls and the municipal garage came to mind. There were other buildings that the committee felt less compelled to placard or to affect the ban. One of them being the concession and restroom building at the Hayes Court ball fields, because we all had to acknowledge at the end of the day that we can't ban concealed carry in our parks. And I think it struck most of those committee members, appropriately so, as absurd to expect to ban from the restroom while all the time we know people would be allowed to carry throughout the park or throughout the complex and the outdoor part of the complex. So I want to make it clear to you folks that we're not just going to go willy-nilly placard every building we own after you consider and pass, if you are to pass this ordinance, but it does give us the authority to do that. And what you might do if you pass this ordinance tonight is refer the matter, not the ordinance itself, but refer to your Public Safety Committee, I think, which next meets on November the 9th, and ask them to contemplate a hard list of buildings that they'd like to see their public works staff placard consistent with this ban. And if it takes this council a period of weeks or even months to fully debate those and flesh out those buildings where you want the ban in effect and those where you prefer not to, that's fine, but you can at least turn staff loose on affixing signage to the buildings that are no-brainers to you in terms of where you want to affect the ban.
Yeah, just one more thing, and I know everybody wants to get going, but just to follow up on what Frog was talking about, the discussion that we had in the public safety, and in general terms, I think we wanted to say that, the concealed carry is not a bad thing. I mean, it can also be a good thing too, but what we're trying to protect against are buildings like this, public buildings. We want to prevent things that happened, like, I don't know if it was in Ohio or something, somebody walked into a council meeting and started shooting. Luckily, they were a bad shot, but we want to eliminate those problems like that. So that's the gist of this thing, is that the concealed carry is not the issue. It's not a bad thing. We just want to clarify that we don't want any weapons of any kind in these public buildings for everybody's obvious safety. So, thanks.
And one other point I should make, and I'll keep it very, very brief, is I've been working with the garage, with the sign department, to affect some signs, and you folks can come by and take a look at some of these. 5x7 is the minimum size requirement by statute, and of course, I suppose depending on the size and the properties of the building, we would perhaps engage in a larger font with a larger sign. But these are all details that we'll try to flesh out without bothering you. And the other component of the sign preparation is that the county is almost certain to act on a similar ordinance later this week. And if it should be determined that it's more economically feasible to order these signs, we might go in on a batch between the two entities and try to effect a modest savings for that.
Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 12 is business by public. Brian Carlenberg.
Well, thank you, city councilors, for being here and listening, and thank you, mayor and people. I was just curious as to any activity that may have been happening in regards to the city officials and the Nemadji Trailer Park in the last 2 weeks.
We have, we've had the master electrical inspector, master electrician, I should say, out there examining the electrical system of the park. That report is being written. We have had the state inspector out there for validation of those findings. The plumbing inspector, Mr. Campbell, I want to say he was out there this week. He is writing up his report as to the condition report that we mentioned before. And once we, excuse me, once we receive all of that and review it, we'll, as I said at the meeting out at the park, we'll offer those reports up to the residents and then go from there where we need to look at. Go. And I should also say that he isn't here right now, but Brad Thine and Jason Sirk have been interviewing park managers. So, and that's in the process also. So hopefully soon, before your Thanksgiving dinner, we'll have some better detailed answers for you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, city councilors, and thank you very much for assisting us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Mayor?
Councilor?
Just a question. Somebody had mentioned, I think at the last council meeting, that they thought that they had somebody that was willing to take over management of that property. Has there been any talk anymore about that? Is there somebody, or?
I'm sorry, I don't recall that. I do know that Jason and Brad are speaking with a property management company.
Oh, okay, company, okay.
Yeah. If there's no further action to come before this council, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Opposed? I'm sorry, did I miss?